like to welcome you to the BCS meeting, and we're delighted to introduce our speaker, Mandy from Bournemouth University. She's a professor there with a very wide experience of different, looking at issues in different parts of the world, which we're talking about from Uganda, Ivory Coast, etc. And she's a professor in behaviour ecology at Bournemouth University. Pass across to Mandy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to leave admitting people to you, right?
I'll do that.
Okay, so welcome to everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm really excited to start this talk. You can hear me all right then, Margaret?
Yeah. Yes, that's
okay. Good. So what I wanted to talk about today was Augmented Wildlife Experiences, which is a project that we've only recently started, and it's really very much still in the early phases of our project of development. So here, the picture shows you one of the trails that we've set up, where we basically on the trails we have like a little hub, a little location with a QR code linking to particular hubs. So I'll tell you a little bit about the team that we've got together. And unfortunately, Tassa couldn't make it tonight. A bit of a background to the project, a bit about nature connectedness, what the project is really all about, and the one trail that we've got, the Holton Lee Trail, the kind of technology we wanted to use versus what we actually ended up using, what we would like to introduce and what kind of technology we would like to do, and obviously some future ideas for the project. Okay, so first of all, the team. So the team consists of Anastasia Vayona, who is a social scientist, and she's really interested in circular economy, but also in people's pro-nature behaviors and improving people's attitudes toward nature. Myself, I'm a behavior ecologist. Anita Diaz, who is an expert in heath restoration and in local ecology. She's had many years working here in the local environment in Dorset. And Sam Deacon, who's done most of the legwork for our project so far in setting up our trail. And he's also a local ecologist and interested in, well, in fungi, as you see on the picture, but also in reptiles, and he works for ARC at the moment. And then Pippa Gillingham from Bournemouth University as well, and she's a geographer, but mostly interested in microclimates, microhabitats, climate change effects on species, and she's looked a lot at the effects of national parks. Now, the project that we're going to present and the trail that we present have been developed together with Livability Millie College and the fantastic team there, John Ascott, Annabelle Pearsall, and Katrina Easthope. And we've also had support from Dorset Electrical Solutions, especially Nicola De Grandi. So our funding so far, the project I'm going to talk about was a relatively short project, which was funded by the Higher Education Innovation Fund. So what are we trying to achieve with OR? So we're basically trying to, the idea of it is to nurture nature engagement and connectedness through augmented wildlife experiences. So we aim to promote well-being and nature conservation engagement in people by enhancing how they feel towards nature, so their nature connectedness. The website can be found here, ortrails.co.uk. So what is an OR trail? An OR trail really, this is the one trail that we have at the moment. We're, like I said, we're at the beginning of our project. It's basically a walking trail with information hubs set up along the trail. So here you see this particular trail's got 9 hubs here. At each hub, we've provided a link so either on the location or on a map. So you can get a QR code for each location, and each location then that QR code would take you to multimedia content online on a web page. So the multimedia content that we've got for each one of those locations is content specific for that particular location. So for example, we've got wildlife videos and sounds from that location recorded on there in the same, normally would be in the same season. We have fun facts about plants and wildlife that are close to the hub, close to that location. We also would like to have more than we have at the moment. Some unseen creatures that you could have that are there. For example, in a pond, we might have some microorganisms that live in the nearby water that you wouldn't normally see with the naked eye. Or, for example, some information about the soil and the soil organisms. In the future, we'd also like to have some more climate data. So there's a lot of different things that you could have for each one of the hubs. You could have live footage from inside a bird box or a bird's eye view, so that when you're actually standing down there at the trail, you can actually see further than you would normally see. So there's lots of things that you could have as multimedia content for each one of the hubs, and each hub should be different. So basically for each hub, there is a separate web page on the overall website. So why did we develop OR? Partly because we just thought it would be fun, but also because it aims to augment the way people interact with and learn about nature by introducing this digital content that shows them glimpses and highlights of the living world all around them. And it's especially done because many people, especially in this ever-growing urban populations, feel a little bit disconnected from nature. And we really wanted to improve that connectedness rather than just people letting people just walk through in our environment. We're hoping that by enhancing this experience, they will really see what's all around them. So why are we digitally enhancing it? Well, one of the reasons is that people are very much now geared towards digital content and being on their phones, and it's very hard sometimes to get people off their phone. So we're hoping that with this digitally enhanced content, we can transform a simple walk in nature into a more engaging, informative, and immersive experience. And one of the other reasons why we're thinking that this might help is that a lot of people are used to watching nature through nature documentaries and games, and these often depict nature as its best. So there's normally, when you go out in a walk, you hardly see any of the wildlife that you might see up close in nature documentaries, or you might not see all the stuff that's going on. And so a typical walk in the local nature, especially in an urban park, is probably a bit underwhelming. So we were hoping that by creating these digitally enhanced walks, we could help grow greater connectedness of people to nature. So I just wanted to give a bit of an idea about nature connectedness and what we mean with that and why we think it's important. So why try and enhance nature connectedness? Nature connectedness really reflects how people think about, feel about, and relate to nature. And it's linked to the well-being and nature positive actions. So people who feel more connected to nature tend to also feel better, and it can be really good for people's health. And also there's plenty of evidence that people who feel more connected to nature are more likely to observe nature positive actions and get involved in conservation. And we obviously all know that conservation is important because nature is diminishing. There's a lot of pressures on the natural world, and for organizations, for governments, for councils to get people to get involved in those conservation activities, we need them to feel that connection with the nature and understand that it's important for them. Now, the way I see nature connectedness, it's not just about being in nature and just sitting there, but it's all about immersing yourself with it and really looking at it in more detail so that you can feel part of it. So greater nature connectedness through digitally enhanced nature trails. The idea would be, if you want to improve connectedness, we thought there's two main things that you need to do. People, first of all, need to spend more time in nature. There's clear health benefits and other benefits to spending more time in nature. But they also need to feel the value of that time and really immerse themselves. So what we're trying to do with, first of all, is trying to attract people to come and spend more time in nature. And one of the things that I think all might be able to do that is because it can be set up as a form of a treasure hunt, or like a geocaching kind of experience. People are going to look for those individual hubs along the trail, and then once they get to a hub, they can then see a lot more information, and it just opens up this whole bigger world around them about that particular location that they're at. Also, we're hoping that all will allow people to see the things that people otherwise don't see, and the animals that are using that environment that are in that same location where people are, but then during times when people are not there. So seeing the animals that use the area at night, maybe, or the animals that prefer to go there when there's no people. We're hoping also that because they stop at a hub and they look at the phones or they look at the content, they will spend more time in nature and be there longer. Rather than quickly walking through a trail, they will actually stop and wait and look at things. So that's another way in which we think it will help. And then we try to make people understand nature better by providing scientifically sound information on the website. So we're also hoping that we can slowly build in more of the research that we all conduct in the local environment into these pages. So at the moment for the project, we only really have one trail at the moment. We've only just been able to start the whole project. So the project, the first trail is the Holton Lee Trail, which is developed together with Livability Millie College. And this is a picture of the area. So the next picture shows it a bit better. So Livability Millie College is now called Shaftesbury Millie College. Is an educational setting for 16 to 25-year-olds and older. And it's helping people really with a range of learning and physical disabilities to become independent and to get through their college and education. So it's most of the time closed environment. It's not open to the public at the moment and most of the time. But it's a fantastic environment. So there's a lot of different types of nature ecosystems in this area. So we've got, so this is sort of here the area that the park is at. So it's close to Poole Harbour. It's got a view over Poole Harbour here. There is areas in which you have heathland. There are little forest areas. We have a few areas that have a pond. So there's a lot of different types of habitats that are really interesting for people to look at, and a lot of potential for creating opportunities for people to enjoy different types of nature. So the Holton Lee Trail at the moment is 2.7 kilometers long. We have 9 hubs and along the trail. It goes through forest, goes through heathland, it goes along a pond area, and there's a reed area with a view over the harbor. And what we've done so far is we've placed trail cameras and acoustic recorders at the different hub locations for several days at a time. And we collected information from those places. We've also taken photographs and video of the wildlife around the hubs. And most of that work was done by Sam Deacon. So we only had a very short time in which we had some funding to pay Sam to do all that work. So we only had collected data during June, July, and a bit in August as well. I'm going really fast here, I think. So these are the different hubs. So just a few examples. So these 3 example hubs that we set up along the trail. So this one here is in the one tree that's in the area of the heathland. The rest of the area around it is all very open in this first one. Another hub is right along the river, along the pond. So a very different kind of environment. And then this is along a really nice little boardwalk walk through the reeds with a view over the harbor. So I just wanted to show you a few of these hubs, and I'm going to see if I can get them to work online, and Margaret will tell me if it's not working, but I think this should work. So this is the online website, and I think you should be able to see that now. So this is just one example of the trails that we have. So we have a bit of information about the different areas, and this site is quite an open site, an open heathland site. And then on the website, we've got, for example, a video. So this one is the deer, and this particular video that we recorded, deer is actually fighting at some point, which is really nice, because obviously it's a bit more interesting. There are a lot of deer in Holton Lee Park. So here there's the males fighting here over, probably over females. And then there's different videos on this particular site, and there's a little bit of information about it and just a little bit of fun facts about the area. Another thing that on the site that we've put on in this particular site, for example, is information of the small plants that are there. So this plant you wouldn't probably have looked at because it's actually really quite small. But there's a bit of information on the plant, and it'll make people stop and actually look at what's there and whether they can find it. The dodder as well, another little thing that you would easily walk past, and etc. So there's all kinds of information that you could put up on there. So if you go to the next hub, which I think I have as well. So with this one, for example, Sam put up a bit more on the sound recordings that we've collected. So in this particular one, he's put up a recording of the dawn chorus. And I don't know if you can hear it, but so for that one, we've had help from somebody who's a proper bird expert to identify all the species that you can see on the that you can hear in the area, and it just allows people to listen to the dawn chorus, for example, even if they're not there, and the early morning, and it gives more information. But at the same time, there's also some videos. I think we actually baited this this trail so that we could have some animals running past. So there's the mouse running around. There are some videos of the gray squirrel, but also just simple videos that we've taken with a normal camera of a grasshopper and butterflies. So there, for each one of those bits of information, things, there is some information. And obviously we can just amend that according to what people might be more interested in. So this was the fifth hub, which is along the water edge, and there we've got again we've got some videos, but obviously these ones are of birds flying past and other damselflies and dragonflies. But also, again, some information of the different plants that are locally there and information on pitcher plants which are not native, etc. Of course, these ones now are very seasonal, so you have to update the data and the information if you want to keep it up to date. Okay, so I was asked to also talk a little bit about technology, because I understand most of the people in this group are especially interested in technology. So this is the kind of technology that we did, and we were supported by Dorset Electrical Solutions. You might not see it very well, but there is a camera attached here, then this one. And we've attached a camera here on the pole for the feeding station. So what we did with our camera equipment, so for this particular trail, the main thing that we did was collecting camera information, video recordings with cameras and sound recordings. So about the camera equipment, what we originally really wanted to do is have some footage of wildlife when nobody is watching. And we also would have loved to have some live footage of hard to see places, for example, inside a bird box, underwater, or bird's eye view of an area, and where people could just log into live or look on the webpage where the live footage was. Now, what we've managed to do is get the footage of the wildlife when nobody is watching with the trail cameras, but we haven't really managed to get the live footage working as well as we'd hoped it would be. It turned out to be quite hard. So the camera equipment that we've been using is, we had in stores here at the university, we had a lot of these spy point cameras, and some of these were a little bit old, but they usually use they're non-solar, they don't have solar power. They use non-rechargeable AA batteries. And the reason for that is that rechargeable AA batteries don't work because the voltage tends to be too low. So the voltage tends to be 1.2 volt of rechargeable batteries instead of 1.5 volt. So if you have 8 batteries, that makes a big difference in the overall charge that the camera gets. But also the milliamperage hour is often too low in rechargeable batteries. And obviously rechargeable batteries are preferable because you want to be as sustainable as possible. You don't want to be throwing away camera batteries all the time. So there are some really high quality rechargeable batteries that do get to the 2,500 milliampere hour, but they are the more expensive ones, and a lot of them don't reach that amperage. Another thing that we actually realized as well, because that information is available online as well, is that the rechargeable batteries are often too thick and they don't fit into the camera, even if you're using them. So you can't actually push them in. So then we had some funding to buy some cameras. So we decided to buy the Nature's Prize Browning cameras. That's this one, because they can take and they work really well with rechargeable batteries. And that would be a big bonus for us. And they have been doing really well, and they have really good quality images. Now, because we wanted actually live footage, we also got a Volker V200, which is this one up here at the bottom right. And the idea was that that would give us a longer charge because it has a solar panel and it has an internal battery, and that can be just charged. So at the beginning, somewhere in July or August, I charged that battery And since then, it's been running without any updates, any replacements or anything. On the solar, that slowly just trickle feeds that internal chargeable battery. So in that sense, it's working really well. Unfortunately, the part that we wanted about it being a live footage turns out to be less easily achievable. So the live footage of this particular organization doesn't include videos, and it wasn't actually allowing you to immediately see what you wanted to see. So you can't immediately view what the camera is viewing from home, from your phone. Plus, if you want a monthly subscription, it's quite a lot of money. And with one camera, that might still be doable if you got a company who can pay for it. But for us, not having any money, basically, and having possibly more than one camera, that is not such a feasible thing. But it is running and it is working. The live footage of the photos that you can download for free as well. So we have a free subscription at the moment, are low quality. So to get the higher quality ones, you can only take a few every month. So we've recently purchased a SpyPoint Flex S Solar, which is also supposed to work cellular. Sorry, I didn't say that. The Volker also works on a cellular connection. So you don't require Wi-Fi, but you can actually work on a cellular system. And that was one of the big benefits. And Flex S I haven't actually tested in the field yet, so we don't really know how well that's working. All these cards or cameras obviously also use SD cards, and SD cards can be will just have to be taken out and replaced on a regular basis. So camera-wise, our future developments and our ideas is that we really had wanted to have some underwater camera footage. And so we're hoping that we can in future set that up. We'd really like to set up some bird boxes with cameras, and we would really still try to get some proper live access. The live access cameras that most people use, I think, as far as I can work out, tend to work via Wi-Fi and have direct access to electricity. Now, I was wondering, and I'm going to talk to a tech person at some point, whether you couldn't just get a camera that allows people to log in live via a Bluetooth connection, but I don't know if that will work. And obviously, I'm still interested in getting a bird's eye view kind of camera set up. Apart from video cameras, we also used acoustic imagery. And for this, we used, for this particular project, we just used the audio moths, which is the one here on the top. It's literally just a tiny little motherboard. It's actually really small. And the microphone is just included in it. And you can see it here in the bottom. It's just literally just a little pin. It's really easy to work with. There's software online. It's all free online. And a lot of people are using it in research. They're reasonably priced, but because they're coming from the US, they're still more expensive than you would think because of import expenses. They work reasonably well, but we've had a few of them that were broken or broke really quickly. We've had issues sometimes with the SD cards not working or stopping to work. Audio obviously doesn't require normally, especially this one, they don't require that much power, so they work on rechargeable batteries. But the sound obviously is not super high quality. And what I've been thinking again, because it actually turned out not to be that much cheaper, I'm thinking of maybe again developing our own systems. What we did in previous work that I've done in Indonesia, Invisible Flock, which is an art science company that I've worked with for my research in Indonesia. They built for us these bespoke systems. Again, it's a motherboard, but a pretty smart system. A power pack, and actually because they had really big plug-in microphones, we needed 2 power packs. which saves from batteries that you have to throw away, and a GPS system and other things. And then the plug-in microphones can be as the highest quality that you want. And because this was an arts company, they wanted really high quality sound recordings. So I'm thinking whether next time we will try and set something up with a more bespoke system. And you can just put them into these waterproof boxes. Which reminds me, for the audio moth, we had some boxes created through 3D printing. So because it's all so much used by different researchers, you can find all this, how the software to program it and the 3D printing for the boxes. I don't know if you can see me, but this is basically the 3D printed box. All that stuff is already available online, so it's really helpful. So the kind of challenges that we experienced, I guess, for me, the biggest disappointment was that we couldn't get the live footage to work. I think basically what it means is that you need to have Wi-Fi access or more expensive subscriptions. And it's also power hungry, so it's better to run it alongside a building that has electricity. Another thing that I think that is difficult is the editing of the materials, so which is obviously very time consuming. The videos need to be edited, the sound needs to be turned off on some of the videos. The sound recordings need to be filtered so that the rain comes out and background noise is not as prominent as it is in some of them. Now, what we're not facing so much in Holton Lee, but what we will be facing in the public trails is vandalism and theft. So also you need to think about where are you going to put the recorders. You don't need to keep them out the whole time because you only need a few images, but you still need to keep them out for a few days. And so where are you going to put them in a public trail? It would be good to have as much environmentally friendly power supplies as possible. So again, the solar panels are possibly the way to go for that. So with sound recordings, it's a lot of work again to identify which birds are actually on their sounds. So luckily, one of our students, Samuel Rennie, has been willing to ID the different sounds, the different birds on our recordings. There is, of course, AI software like Bird ID that also does bird identification based on sounds, but it's not fully reliable. And we wanted to make sure that everything is fully scientifically correct. Reviewing images, there's always a lot of images that are just have a moving leaf on them. So again, that takes a lot of time, and that is something that people need to go through. But there are some software packages now that are AI identifies where there's an animal on it or not. So it might be for the future to use. And then, of course, it's time consuming depending on how often you want to update your website and everything. So what are our current and our near future plans? So the first thing is that we've got a group of students now that will hopefully set up 1 or 2 more trails. We want a new trail in an urban environment, which is close to the university here at Talbot campus, called Talbot Woods. And we're working together with the Talbot Village Trust on that, with Martha. And a second trail with Natural England in Studland that we're hoping to set up at some point as well. Both of them are public trails, but one of them will be in a public environment and the other one in an urban environment. And that'll also help us approach different kind of potential visitors and look at the differences between the visitors in the future. We actually also got really lucky that we've got a student from computing who is looking into developing an app as his final year research project. So hopefully that might be something coming up soon. And it might even be something that we can put in a virtual reality component. And of course, we've been saying that we think that, oh, we'll do this and oh, we'll do that, but we actually haven't had much time and chance to test this. So our research project that we're trying to find funding for is a social science kind of project, and that Tassa will be running, looking at the effectiveness of all trails in changing people's feelings of connectedness to nature and changes in their nature positive behaviors, and maybe even to the level that we can test whether all trail is better at improving people's well-being and connectedness than a non-all trail. So hopefully we might be able to start doing that, and when we've got more different trails available. So we're at the moment applying for more funding, and we've applied for a small grant from the British Academy, but of course it's all seeing what funding will be available for these projects. So I just wanted to highlight the things that I think make OR interesting and gives it a lot of potential is that the online materials can be visible. So we can make them visible to everybody who goes on the website, or you can actually hide the materials until somebody comes to the site, like a treasure hunt where they only see they only get the QR code for the web page if they're actually physically in that location. At the same time, on the other end of the scale, something that Margaret mentioned is that actually the online materials can also be modified in such a way that it creates an online nature experience for people who do not get to go out physically to visit the site, but they can actually see things from their home computers. And of course, having the material online rather than on a plaque in front of the site allows you to update it and add little funny things, like, for example, you can make a special event with Easter or things like that. So also for the future, we're hoping that we will have more content. So we're hoping to put up some temperature data loggers so that people can see how different temperature can be from one place to another, even within the same environment. We're hoping to look a little bit more at the soil organisms and water organisms that people can't actually see anyway, even if they would be looking carefully. So things that are not visible to the naked eye. And then overall, people have been enthusiastic, and other locations have said, oh, we would like to have a trail in our location, but obviously we still need the resources of somebody who's dedicating their time to it. And we've been really lucky with Sam doing that over the last time period. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you for listening. And if there's any questions.